Good morning, everyone. Have you ever wondered how to make apple cider vinegar so that you don't have to pay for it in the store? You can just make it on your own, however often you want. So I'm going to show you today how to make the apple cider vinegar. So what you need is a large glass crock, or I also used a pitcher because I didn't have enough crocks. And then 6 apples, any type. I used 4 because this one's pretty large. And then if I need more, I'll cover the rest. Then you're going to need 1/4 cup of sugar. It can be organic or regular. The apples aren't organic, but I did wash them really well to get the pesticide stuff off of it. And then you're going to need a cheesecloth or a coffee filter, and then a rubber band to go around the top to hold the cheesecloth in place. And then filtered or bottled water to cover the apples. I used filtered water from the fridge. If you use tap water, put it in a glass pitcher the evening before and let it sit overnight so that the chemicals, the chlorine, can evaporate out of it and make it more beneficial for you. Then, so I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting this one apple. So I use my knife glove because I don't want to cut myself. I just take off the bad spots and I use everything. I include the seeds, but I don't use the stem. So I'm just going to cut that part off. See how bad it is. Cut some more. Alright, and then I just throw it over there because I'm going to throw that away. And then, so I just cut it in, chunks. Usually I just cut it in half and then cut it in half again. So I'll show you. Cut into thirds, sorry, and then cut into thirds. And then just put that in the water. And whenever you're doing this, you're going to want to use plastic or wooden spoon. You don't want to use metal whenever you're stirring. So you use a metal knife, but once it gets going and starts being acidic and vinegary, I know that's a scientific term, then you will want to use plastic or a wooden spoon, like I said. Alright, so we are done with that. Then we're going to pour in the 1/4 cup of sugar, and then just stir it around. Now you're going to want to stir this every day because I just had to throw out a batch that got mold on it, and you can tell the mold because it's, well, you know what mold looks like. But there's also this film that grows on top that's called a SCOBY, and SCOBY stands for Symbiotic Culture of Bacteria and Yeast. And it is formed during and at the completion of the fermentation process. It develops in kombucha, kimchi, vinegars. So I'm going to show you. So that film on the top is the SCOBY, and the sediment at the bottom is it's called the mother. So the mother has the most beneficial part of it. So if you go to the store and you buy apple cider vinegar and it says with the mother, that means it's the best. If you buy the ones that say pasteurized, it does not have the mother in it. So the SCOBY, what I do is I take it, and so this is a batch that's a week old, and so I put the SCOBY in with this. So you're not going to add a SCOBY yet because this is your first batch, and you will develop a SCOBY on top. And so what I try to do, I'm going to stick with this until we're done. Sorry, I'm bouncing all over the place, rabbit trails. So I add the sugar, and the sugar helps the fermentation process. And then as it ferments, the sugar goes away. So, but I try to turn all the apples with the skin side up so that the white part doesn't turn brown. I mean, you're not going to be 100%. So, but it does help with preventing a lot of browning on the top. So usually I keep one apple just cut in half, but I forgot to do that this time. I guess I could show you with another apple. Alright, so I'm going to remove my glove now. I like this glove because one, it protects my fingers, but it has an inside glove. It's because this is all itchy and scratchy. So you put this on and then that, and then you don't get all itchy and scratchy. And I wash it every time I use it so that it doesn't get nasty and grody. Alright, so let me just wash my hands. So basically you're done. What you're going to do is take your cheesecloth or your coffee filter and just place it over the top, and you want to keep it in a place that's between 60 and 80 degrees. I had it in a cooler place, which is why I had to throw the 2 batches away, because they were it was cooler than needed, so it got moldy, and I didn't stir it every day because I went out of town. So if I'm going out of town again, however, I'm going to ask my son to stir this for me. Alright, so this is done, and you're going to put it in a cold, dark place. My successful batch, which is this one, I had more, but I've been using it. But the successful batch I had in the pantry upstairs where it was toasty, you know, right at 72, 74 degrees. So I will put that away in a little bit. Now, I'm going to show you what a SCOBY looks like as it grows. So this one grew inside this jar. Let's see if I can find it. And it's kind of slimy looking and gross looking, but it's also interesting at the same time. So this is what it looks like. It looks like, yeah, it doesn't look very appetizing at all, but it helps. So whenever your first batch is ready, so you're going to let it set for a month, the first batch, and stir it every day, and then towards the last week you'll see the film starting to develop. I wouldn't stir it as much during the last week because that fermentation has started and it's less likely to mold. So you want to grow that, and then what I do when I start the next one is I put it in with my new batch, the SCOBY, and then that way it helps kickstart it. Sometimes I've heard that you can take some of your existing apple cider vinegar and pour it in there, and that'll help kick the process in gear, and then that way you don't have to wait a whole month, you just have to wait like 3 weeks. But I use it all the time, so I didn't want to do that. Now, what I'm going to do though is I'm going to kickstart that one, but I'm going to take the mother out of, or the SCOBY off of this one to put into that one, so that so this is the advanced next steps. So what I do is I take a plastic or glass or pitcher and put a cheesecloth over the top. You can get cheesecloths, I don't know, I got it at Walmart, but you can get it at like, I don't know, any kind of store in the kitchen section, I guess. But I'm going to pour this out and into the pitcher, because I'm going to pour this back into the jar after I rinse it. And you want to be careful because you don't want the edges to cave in from the weight. And you don't want the mother to get, the SCOBY to get too big, because then it won't come out. So this is that film on top. Alright, so I'm just going to take it off of here. So this is a thin one. This is a baby one compared to that one. And I'm just going to place it down in here, under, just barely underwater. But it has to be able to breathe too, so you don't want to cover it up too much. Alright? And because as you saw, it was skimming across the top, right? And then, so if you look at the store-bought, I'm not going to remove it, but you can see in there it has a film on top as well. So, but it takes longer to process because it was sealed and stuff. So, alright, now I have apple cider vinegar. It smells apple cider vinegary. So, and I'm just going to, well, let me rinse this out first. because I don't like putting. Alright, so I don't want to mess the process up, so I'm going to rinse it with the filtered water from the refrigerator, and then pour it back in. Alright, so I love my little baby funnel. It's so cute. So I went ahead and did that. So whenever I stir this, I kind of gently remove the SCOBY from the top, stir everything up, and then put it back on top. So, because you don't, like I said, you don't want it to sink to the bottom. If it does, that's fine, because then it will create, let me show you on this one, it will create a string. It's kind of nasty looking, but it will. It'll create a string from the bottom, and then it'll grow its way to the top, and then it will start a new film on top. So it's not catastrophic if it sinks, but it definitely helps. Helps it grow. It helps it grow more if it sits at the top, because then it can breathe. Alright, so put that there, pour this back in here, and I did rinse it out with the filtered water. I just didn't want y'all waiting on my slow fridge water to fill it up, because I didn't want any chlorine sediment left in it to, you know, possibly deter the taste or the flavor. Alright, and then we can use this. This one is usable, and we now have apple cider vinegar for use. We have one in process, and then we got a new one. So good to go. Remember to like and subscribe to the entire channel, not just a video. You can subscribe to the videos too, but it's better if you subscribe to the channel, because then you know when more things pop up. Alright, I appreciate you all, and I hope you have an awesome day.